So slower was definitely better on this one. I feel like it's just a bit repetitive. And I think this is one of those that's geared more for working on your technique, working on the fingers, and less for like musicality and phrasing. But that being said, it doesn't mean you can't still be musical and still have nice phrasing. But if you notice in the original, there is nothing in the way of like dynamic markings. We don't even have a starting dynamic. So I'm going to reference the Height edition a bit. If you're new, it's this one, the David Height Artistic Studies for Clarinet, which has the 32 etudes plus the 40, both volumes as well. I'm going to use his phrase markings, his dynamic markings as like a starting point, but I'm not going to necessarily stick to them. He added a lot of accents that I'm not really going to concern myself with at the moment. So starting dynamic, he uses mezzo forte. I feel good about that. So go ahead and write that in. And then he has a crescendo to mezzo piano and then another crescendo back to mezzo forte. So I think instead I would rather it feel a bit more natural. So a little bit of crescendo there, a bit of decrescendo here. And then I think I'm okay with the piano he has there. And then same thing here, some up, some down with a forte right there at the peak. I think that'll be nice. Here down to mezzo forte again, like we started. And a crescendo here at the end of that first big phrase. Now, the one thing I am going to use his guidance on is the breathing. When these playthroughs I just did, I took a couple of different breaths and I didn't really care for any of them. So I'm going to write his in and then I might make some changes. So he used one there. And then of course on the rest. I don't understand. I've said this before. I don't understand why he writes breaths over like large rests. That doesn't make sense to me because I feel like you will breathe there anyway. But I do want to take note of where he wrote in these additional breaths in between, and then I will decide if I like them. Unfortunately, with the way this is, there's no choice but to break up some of the flow to fit a breath in. If you can circular breathe and you want to do that, then you can go right ahead and do that. I, however, don't circular breathe. I feel like there actually aren't quite as many markings as some of the other ones that Mr. Height has added to the Rose original. But I think some of these are going to be very helpful. See a nice big crescendo through to the end, or not to the end, but to this peak in the phrase here. But I don't think I want the decrescendo he wrote at the end, so I'm going to just change it and put another crescendo, or I want to sustain it. I'm going to go from the beginning one more time. So I'm going to keep this slow practice tempo for now. So written tempo in the Height is dotted half equals 60, which is a bit ambitious for me right at this moment. So I'm going to stick with this, which is quarter note equals 130. So I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to leave the metronome on for a bit. So I think I might make a small change already. I'm going to move this breath mark, and I'm going to put it after the G sharp. One of the reasons why I want to have the metronome on now is because when I'm working on tricky fingerings, the tricky fingering changes, I'm always tempted to rush through them. So I want the metronome on to keep me accountable to make sure I don't do that. No, actually, I think I changed my mind. No, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm trying to decide about this breath. No, I don't want to break the connection between the G sharp and the B sharp after all. Is there another spot I could put that? Actually, you know what? I am going to move it. I'm going to move it to where I initially had it, between the two F sharps, because then I don't feel like I'm breaking up the chord progression quite so harshly. It is a bit longer, but I think I can make it there in one breath, even at a slower tempo. quite. But I think once I speed it up, that's not going to be a problem. Yeah, I can't quite make it yet, but I will be able to. So I'm going to leave it for now, and we'll try it faster in a minute, and I'll see if I can make that breath then. Yeah, I like that one. I messed it up coming out of it, but that breath is good, so I'm going to leave that. But I want to put a little bit of a tenuto on that A so I don't rush it coming out of the breath. Yeah, I'm not going to take a whole click of breath there, but I think once I'm in tempo at 1, I will kind of put just a little extra time there. I'm going to try one more time and see if I can keep that pulse steady. So I needed a couple extras to get me through that phrase. I'm going to mark them both in for now, and then I'm going to erase the ones I don't need once things get faster. So I think those were the 2 extra breaths I took. The challenge I think I have, and that I feel like most other wind players have, is playing phrases like this and getting breaths when we need them, but without sounding like we took breaths, or with it making sense. You know, like it should, the goal is for like phrase endings, no endings before a breath, to sound nice and pretty as if they're played by an instrument that you don't need to breathe to play. But then to execute that while still getting the air you need, but it not sounding like an emergency or like a super harsh note or phrase ending. It's really challenging. It takes a lot of practice, I think, to pace things correctly. And this is one of those studies or pieces of music where I feel like I would need to practice that quite a bit to get to a place where I felt like I had full control over it and I knew I could get the air I needed. So with the slower tempo, it'll help, but also things will get harder and easier, I think, at a faster tempo. But I'm going to just kind of leave it here for now. I definitely need to make sure I don't rush through here. So I'm going to make a note. So I'm going to play that last section through one more time. Actually, the last 2 sections, because that one middle one's a bit short. I want to kind of combine those 2. Extra note in there. It did not come out mathematically correct. Let me try that one more time. Oh, that's what it is. I missed that skip. I don't think I missed it before, but I don't want to miss it again. That's a little bit better. I'm gonna go back at the beginning now and see if I can increase the tempo just a little bit and see if I can put these pieces together in terms of the fingerings, but also start to get a better feel for the phrasing and what's going to feel natural. Stop for a second because I did change those extra breaths around. I didn't need 2, I only needed 1 that time, and I took it here. So let's leave that there for now and see if that makes things better. I messed up that spot again, so I'm gonna put a little star right here because clearly what I have written is not quite enough. I'm also gonna rewrite it and make it a bit clearer. It's right, then right again, then left, then right. So I want to make sure that slide is really good. Go back to the beginning of that last big section in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4th line from the end, the last 2 measures. Makes that so difficult, and I think it's because earlier when I make the slide it's kind of within the same phrase. Here I have to make the slide, but that C sharp at the end of the slide is kind of the beginning of a new phrase, and it feels challenging to have a strong start to a new little mini phrase or a little idea after kind of a weak fingering progression. And I mean weak as in like it's not something that feels super stable. It's going to work. I'll be successful doing it, especially with practice, but it's not going to feel as sturdy or stable as like landing on like a normal fingering pattern. I'll do that section one more time. So now let's go back to the beginning and do it even a little bit faster. Now I'm at quarter note equals 140, which is about 40 beats under for what I want for final tempo. The decision without sharing it with you that I'm going to kind of just let an extra click happen when I need a breath for now so that I can focus on ending the notes as nicely as possible. And when I get faster and I get off the metronome, it'll just be a natural, hopefully, ebb and flow or rubato so that the breath feels like it fits and makes sense. But for now, just for the sake of making it sound as nice as possible, I'm going to give myself an extra click when I need it for the breath so I can end the note before nicely. edition has staccatos on each of these articulated notes at these phrase endings, and I think I'm going to add them with a tenuto on the last note, just because I think it's a nice contrast. I don't want them to be too short, but I think I want to really contrast that difference between all the slurs and those articulated notes. So I'm going to go from that same section one more time. Mess that up though. That's a little bit better. That breath there. I'm going to move it somewhere else, but I'm not really sure where I'm going to move it to. I'm going to go back to that third section, little mini section before the end. Yeah, you know what it is? I need that extra articulation on top of these notes here. Better. It's just a little bit weird. The flip-flop there feels like it's not right, even though it probably is the best solution. Okay, so it's getting better. I'm going to try and play it from the top now at this tempo with the metronome without stopping so I can pace these breaths. I will continue to give myself an extra click when I have those breaths that aren't on the rest, when I need it, just to make sure I can round the phrase off nicely beforehand. I can keep going, but I really want to change this. I don't really like the forte here at the start of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th line. I think I'd rather, it's a weird kind of cool tonal moment, so I think I'd rather be piano there. I'd rather do the opposite, kind of like a piano to mezzo forte-ish, and then here, start mezzo forte, and then do a bit louder, and then here, stay mezzo forte, and kind of continue on, gradually getting louder through the end of that phrase. Actually, I'll do it the way, I'm going to play the way it was before, and then I'll play it the way I just changed it to, and then compare. So now I'm going to change it to the other way. either one could be good, but I think I like starting that section softer, so I'm going to keep it like that for now. So I'm going to go back to the top of this one more time, and I'm going to try and go a bit faster. I was at 140, now I'm going to try 145. My goal is to carry the work I've made on the technique with me, but get closer to performance tempo so that I can fine tune the musicality and the phrasing. But I don't think I'm going to go much faster than this today. So let me set a realistic goal of by the end of today's practice and work. I'm going to put that tempo in parentheses, but we'll say the goal for today is to get some level of mastery at quarter note equals 150, which is 30 clicks slower than Height's goal tempo. I'm going to go through and identify each of the trickiest sections. So I think I am going to start playing it through. And I'm going to stop when I find my other sections and just kind of put a little mark next to it. Yeah, so I think from here to here is the first one. Oops. Do I need to mark that? I don't think I've missed that before, but... mark that little spot just in case. So I think from here, just through that breath, making sure I don't get derailed by taking that breath. Yeah, this is that spot for sure. So I'm going to start it here, kind of work into it, and just go ahead and link that all the way through the end of that section. That's how I played it okay, but I'm going to block that one in as well. All right, now I'm going to go back to the beginning and play it at this tempo, 140, and see if I have a nicer, more cohesive playthrough. better. I'm getting kind of tired, kind of fatigued in my embouchure, but that sounds much better. I'm going to play it once from the top. So I'm going to play it through without the metronome, but at like this tempo. So let me check in with my tempo. I don't want to rush. That's going to be the challenge, not rushing.